Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and it is time to continue. It gets so lonely here. We got to the little village, but well, the village is empty, except for one person, a grave digger, who we, in a way, got to sleep in the house of. Yeah. Let's see where this is all going, huh? Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you had anticipated. When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of the birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Yeah, the birds over here seem to not be the annoying type, with the sounds in the background. Your head is aching. It is nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. Yeah? That's my approach as well to illnesses. I feel sick a little bit. Hot tea, hot tea. Hot tea with some honey. You can't overdo it, though. You stumble into the kitchen in your night clothes. Borrowed night clothes. Your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark. Oh, what a coincidence, she's the same for me always. And exclaims, in the manner of one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them. Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink. And maybe you need something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast. And that is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite a simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on. Oof. Oof. That must be some old bread. But I bet, I mean, overall, she's someone who is capable of making her own bread in general, right? But also she needs to get ingredients. I wonder if she's running, like, literally everything on her own. That'd be nuts. But also necessary in this situation she's in. Given that she's the only one living in this village. I've never been in a situation where bread would be, you know, way too hard. And when it seems to be a bit old, but still, you know, alright to eat, I usually just get a slice of bread into the toaster and let's go like that. Anywho, and the cheese is a bit too strong. I'm not sure what she means by that. It is food all the same, though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive, at least, and you drink it gratefully. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return. A sunny smile like a field of blooming bellflowers. It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else, she says, words which come to symbolize your relationship. She's such a cutie pie. You stay with the gravedigger for many more days, and limited for her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets your chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you are grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You can almost forget about it now during the day. And during the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you are assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you awake after midnight, the sheets twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a paroxysm of terror. For you try to tell yourself otherwise, you are still afraid. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, for particularly when you are sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread leaves, or should I say loaves, not leaves, bread loaves, so they don't burn, do not burn, yeah, nice. Alright, so she's doing it on her own, as I expected. Good. To be fair, I've never made bread myself. I'm curious if I would fail or not. Maybe on the first try. You attend to most of the domestic chores while the gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best. That is, digging graves. Her dogged persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you. So much so that you cannot help but pose the question to her on one particular morning when the sky is festooned with clouds. Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There is nobody left after all to dig them for. I mean, there is someone. You've always been practical and you cannot see the point in it. On the other hand, think it this way. She's still young, so she's able to do that. So maybe she prepares them for the future, so she doesn't have to dig again, something like that. In a way, this is a practical approach. Or more like an approach that is forward thinking. What is the point in it? The gravedigger ponders, while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question, despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky, her temperament is so very placid. Yeah, but I bet when she actually explodes, oof, you don't want to be there. I don't suppose there is any point to it, really, the gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose, but... well... digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it, so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going. And I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all, is it? You think I can understand that? For your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there is a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose, she does it instead out of sentiment. Huh. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spend my days idling all on my own, I think I'd go mad. The gravedigger laughs at this. As for the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, of the braying of a horse. That is definitely not a compliment. You are ashamed of thinking such a thing, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know. Still, the laughter of the gravedigger as it echoes through the grey, gloomy sky is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. I mean, I'm not surprised. Her smile too is a touch unnatural, the rictus grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot help but pity her. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of the meals, a task which takes slightly longer. It is not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there is dirt caked beneath her fingernails. Oof. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which hangs by the door, and looks to the pot suspended over a fire which you stoke with your own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a homey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you, a toothy smile which, despite her status as solely peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Let's go.
Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now let me give it a taste.
The gravedigger dips a spoon in the soup, then brings it to her lips. She blows up on it. Then places the spoon to her mouth, the wooden utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you prepared for her? You've cooked for her before, in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your efforts. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with, really growing up in relative comfort as you did. You think that you enjoy this rural rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privileges of your past life. At least now, with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you are with her, you are not alone, and it's worth its weight in gold.
Mmm.
The gravedigger exclaims after drawing the spoon from her lips. Her smile, a bright, guileless one.
It's delicious.
Your face flushes at this compliment. You are unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Shall you ask the gravedigger if she truly means that? A query which makes the gravedigger smile.
Of course I mean it. You've become quite good at cooking, really.
That's a relief. You were not very good at all of this cooking malarkey in the beginning. You did not know how to handle a knife, oof, nor how to peel a vegetable, oof, and you cut yourself more than once. Yeah, that happens to me as well sometimes. Not very often. You bled into the soup on several occasions. Bloody soup, yeah, delicious. But never once did you throw this solid soup out. Oh. The gravedigger lives a humble existence and she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. I mean, in a way, it's true. Your soups during your stay have all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. Today's soup, however, is a marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife even once. Maybe your companion's compliments are not empty fluff. Maybe you really are improving.
The soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread too that we can eat with it. What? I should brew some tea too. Let me.
Oh yes, but tea. You knew that you were forgetting something. You were so focused in the soup, it must slip to your mind. Your face flushes yet again at this oversight and shyly offer to correct it. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside.
No, it's alright. You made the dinner, so I'll brew the tea. It's only fair and it won't take all that long. Would you mind serving up the soup while I'm busy?
Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. From a lady. You are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it, soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess's own 2 hands. You sit together at the table, then partake in the simple fare, after saying grace. The soup really is quite good. Despite being made from only the most commonplace of ingredients, there is a bit of a kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing so much, so it makes you feel rather sleepy. You'd like to sit with the gravedigger for a while longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past, but or play the cards. The nights are long, and there is no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Games of the old mates, alas, will have to wait. You are too tired for it. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your rounds, and she nods in response.
That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me, not if you ain't up to it. You should head off to bed and rest that pretty head of yours.
You don't think you are particularly pretty, but you presume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. How could she? She's far prettier than you are. You thank the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs and change out of your clothes. You have only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door, light and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, belong to but one person. It is the gravedigger come to check up on you.
I'm sorry,
The gravedigger says, her voice soft.
but you rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright.
The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She does sound concerned, so much so she could very well be on the brink of tears. I mean, I bet she would not want to lose you, so of course she would be concerned, right? You do not want to her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently, given all that she has done for you. You bid the gravedigger enter into your room. Therefore, without further delay, an invitation she hastens to take. The door swings inwards with a creak, and there your hostess stands, still attired in a black, her clothes a stark contrast to your pure white, well, off-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you. Seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braids and exhales. I'm so used to saying inhale, but... Is that relief, you wonder, playing about her face? But why? No, guess. What was she expecting to see exactly before entering your bedchamber?
Thank you for letting me in,
The gravedigger says, toying with her fingers.
How do you feel?
Not too terrible, you reassure her. There are no particular problems with your health. You just feel tired.
Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale.
That would be nothing out of the norm. You are always pale.
Hehe, true. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink? Or maybe a hot brick to place in your bed?
Hot brick? What? Hot brick? Wow. Now I wonder if that's how, you know, in the past basically people kept themselves really warm at night. Like, I don't know, they kept the bricks in the fire, and when they went to sleep they just would, you know, obviously get rid of the fire and then take a brick underneath the bed or something? That's crazy. Anyway,
it should keep you warm.
You appreciate your hostess's thoughtfulness, but you assure her that this won't be necessary. I need to find out now. Hot brick. Dang, they really did. I did not expect that. Damn. I mean, as long as it works, right? You appreciate your hostess' thoughtfulness, but you assure her that this won't be necessary. You'll be fine. Hopefully.
I hope so. I thought it about my father too before he...
The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know now what she was thinking of before she entered your bedroom. Cold, clammy skin. Sweating brow. Rank, oozing pustules. You think upon those symptoms, which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague which once beset your own country, and you shudder.
If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way,
the gravedigger says.
But before that... This was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering... Would you mind if I brushed your hair for a little while?
Your hair?
That's right. It's such a pretty shade of red, is all I just thought. Well, it's just a fancy, really. You don't have to let me know if you don't want to. But I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I've heard it's supposed to be soothing.
That is what the gravedigger says. But you have the distinct feeling that she is the one looking for solace here. She's not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. But she has been so very good to you, and has done so very much for you, that you do not want to begrudge her this small self-indulgence. You either think she deserves it? You agree, therefore, to her request, and upon doing so, you are certain you have made the right choice. Your hostess's face lights up immediately, in a manner which makes you blush.
Oh, thank you. It'd be my honor. Now let me fetch my brush.
The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles herself up on your bed, by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. Guys, I think... I'm not sure if you will hear that phone. Okay, I can do something. The ASMR begins. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melts with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. Oh. Okay, so we got a sound of her sitting on bed, but not the rest. It is soothing enough, so much so it makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you? You wonder, when you were a little girl. If she did, it must be when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire.
Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft, just like silk. Not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse.
The gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscence. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because of her voice. When next she speaks is dreamy.
I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me back when she was still alive. That must have been a long time ago, for.
It is funny, you think, as the bristles of the brush continue to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there is something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is want to summoning forth of such images? I would not know personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all.
I don't think I like having my hair brushed very much,
the gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck.
My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, for it wasn't my fault I squirmed. She used too much force.
Oh. Now this is curious. It sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond after all. Did she not get along with her mother?
I can rightly say,
the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice.
I was young, like I said, when she died. I don't remember her too well. But I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and the cleaning. Oh, and looking after my baby brothers. But she had time enough despite that to brush your...
Wait, but she had time enough despite that to brush your hair, right?
I mean, she did what she felt she had to make me look presentable. Not that it really worked.
Oh, it did.
I wasn't like the other girls in the village, you see, who liked to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I'd also love the outdoors.
That's nice.
My father said I inherited that from him.
Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see it with your back facing her.
My mother said I wasn't very... well, maidenly. She didn't like that I always traipsed around outside after my father watching us see that graves. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of princess wearing a fine dress.
The gravedigger snorts.
I used to get a bit moody, yes, and maybe I did get bears in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had any hopes of marrying a prince, so no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes, my mother, high hopes. I think she might have resented my father, maybe for working such a menial job. Our profession is a known one, but it's never made much money. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and... oh, you know, she always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. And didn't match up to what she wanted.
The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so you want to console her. What would you say to her for? You never met your companion's mother. You never will, either. Her cold inner body has been lying in the graveyard, buried beneath a tombstone for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought out condolences can cause more harm than good. Yeah. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that, of course, your father loved you really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know, he was worried about his finances, but it seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. As for your own mother, meanwhile, she was nice, at least you think she was, but she was woefully ineffectual. For she was nominally an adult, she always cleaved before your father's judgment. You think that she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. That is not really a good sentence. No. If you look... Dude, you just need to look at the world around. Just because someone gave birth to their children doesn't mean they will love them. Which is a problem, obviously. Which is a sad problem as well. Instead, you sit there letting the brush run through your hair and you say, quite that you understand. Sometimes feel like a disappointment yourself. Every single day. That's what I say about myself, yeah.
Well, the gravedigger says after a pause, I'm glad I know the only one. I guess it happens to all of us.
You guess so, yeah. Parents are only people after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. True. Just because one has brought a child into this world, it does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. True. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. True. It is a painful subject.
Ah, well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me, no matter what.
Your companion's voice catches in her throat. She winces.
At least until he wasn't. He died, and I didn't do a thing to help him.
Okay, we know that's bullshit. Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You tried what you could do. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It is all consuming like the waters of a deep dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This, you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck her brush, which has been hovering in the air, inert from her fingers. Then let her know that her father's death was not her fault. What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness.
I know, but I'd help. Can't help but think. What if I keep racking my head over and over trying to come up with something? But I can't think of anything. And even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him. And now I'm all alone.
She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you are there?
I know it. I know, and I'm grateful, but I don't know if I deserved it.
Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand.
Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. My father always looked out for me when I was a little girl, but when he needed me the most, I failed him. I failed everyone. All of the villagers of my friends all died. What would I do if the same happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too. Not when I care about you so much. I thought I'd gotten used to my being on my own, but now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can sleep from it.
In a way, I kind of understand. Like... yeah, like... god damn it. Like, you can have a resolve to, like, you know... be forever on your own, but you run into someone and like... oh shit, I don't want to be on my own in the end. Yeah, I get it.
I'm scared.
Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forwards, her arms wound about her middle as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries and she cries and she cries. For a few moments you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face streaked with silvery tears seems to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seem too slender to bear the accumulated weight of all the sorrows she has endured, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, and essence descends as the fog which rolls amongst the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however, you cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too weary to think of pretty sophisms. But there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw a caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting.
Oh.
You open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass the comment, you pull her to your chest.
It is so nice. Oh.
A soft exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground. Then there is nothing. The gravedigger is stiff in your arms for a few moments, like the corpses she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She's all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly as you hold her that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempts at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You've never been in a situation like this before. You never consoled any friends before because you have never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. You are as far away from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradled in your arms.
Oh, I'm very sorry to show something so embarrassing. It's just, I get so lonely sometimes.
Until a long last, with a briefly sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run your hands against your sobbing companion's shoulders, blades, and her back, and gently soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There is no shame in crying. You hug her for many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of her nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. It would be unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance in all but assured. You already accepted the gravedigger, after all, every single inch of her. You've accepted her hospitality. You've accepted her food. Now you are accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakens. Come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There is no concept of time between the two of you, no thought of the day which will dawn once this night inevitably ends. Instead, there is only the warmth shared between you, and the wetness on the cheeks of the gravedigger. There is of its sound, irregular now, and less intense than before, of your companion's muted muffled sobs. There is a gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep dark night which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy, as though weighed down with stones. They drop inexorably downwards, pulling you like a drowning maiden into a dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, coiled up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep and you sleep, and you sleep more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. Oh. What's with the darkness? But when you wake, you find that you are no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by the sheets. Wait a second! Don't tell me she's in a coffin. The gravedigger too is nowhere to be seen. Instead you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. You blink, but your surroundings not become any clearer. By the way, right now we are literally getting ASMR in them. What the hell? It's the middle of the night. Perhaps you were aroused from your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else to slake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late, and the smallest of noises have been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite rightful. You slept well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated as though it has slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You don't know much of anything. You can feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. It would appear as for somebody, but who else could it have been save the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping? That is a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound wounds do not stop, however. At this deep, unnatural darkness, it is cold too, and you are lying upon something hard. Some sort of a stone slab? What is going on? You reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. She's in a coffin. Dude, what the hell? There is something heavy lying atop you, something that is limiting your movements. You were anxious before upon awaking, but at this discovery you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations even worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best as you can, for it is coming on thick and fast, and try to squirm. You move your arms outwards, but they do not get very far. There is a wall above you. and walls on either side of you. Walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength nor lower body strength. I have the lower body strength. Hey. You do not have much in the way of the strength at all. I mean, if you are in a coffin, possibly under the ground, not like it would help a lot. You feel quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You don't know where you are, or why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down upon you, one which initially you tried to discard. You do not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box, hemmed in by the walls, which offer only a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it, the irregular sound of drumming. It is as for somebody, for they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingertips upon the lid of your coffin. Bet or it is raining. Oh, so you are not underground yet. It is not the fingers of a giant Tesla which is disturbing you, nor is it falling rain. It's dirt. The sound continues on and on as for it is drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you, when you were running through the forest? You ought to have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later it would catch up with you. You are stubborn foe, and you do not want to accept this? Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, but for you never had any. Instead you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you've been living, and with whom you shared one precious cherished moment. You cry out for the grave digger. Surely this is some manner of mistake? Once you realize that you are in fact entombed in one of the coffins she's currently filling, for who else would be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She will pull you out of the darkness back in the world of the living, and then she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Why would she bury you? You cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it.
So you're awakened then, dear one,
the grave digger says. She sighs. Then she says in a perplexed sort of voice.
Now that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple of hours more, so the last time we spoke would have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm going to feel bad.
Your companion's words, though distant, are unmistakable. You are so tense you are attuned to every single syllable, and each of them makes you gasp. Was this not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You posit this question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep that remorse from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think in your optimism that if you do not let her know how afraid you are, she will reward you for your bravery and let you go. If this is what you are hoping for, it is in vain.
That's right, you really do catch quick.
So it would appear Shirley has committed the task of burying you. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why would she do such a thing? You thought that she was your friend.
We are friends,
the gravedigger says, her voice still worryingly offhand. Worryingly empty.
I'm very fond of you. There is nobody dearer to me than you.
I wonder if she's just doing that so she doesn't have to experience our girl, main character, female protagonist of the game. to go through the same sickness everyone else in her village went? Is this why she's trying to dig her into the ground basically like that? I mean, that's what I'm assuming right now. She's afraid, basically. I'm repeating myself, am I not? Being afraid of going through someone falling into the sickness. Yeah. It's a weird way to deal with the problem, but, well... yeah. It is a dark game in the end. Wait. Okay.
I've had a really good time with you these last... how long's it been again? I don't remember.
Neither do you. Well, if this little detail has slipped both your minds, it can't be all that important. We have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? You do not understand. But you understand her reply even less.
Well, here's the thing,
the gravedigger says in a reasonable sort of voice. As for burying somebody alive could ever be thought of a reasonable action.
I've been digging graves for a long time, see?
You cannot see, it is too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same.
Well, I was digging all the graves, but I've not had anybody to put them in for ages. It was rather sad.
You think you... oh... okay, so I was incorrect in my assumptions. You think you know where the train of logic twisted void is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good would come of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen.
I was thinking, I'd never find another person to bury in this godforsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. Until you came along to this. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not gonna let the opportunity pass me by. I'm sorry, but it's just part of my job. It's what my father taught me to do. It's all I know how to do.
Honestly, you should try saying something. Listen, she's crazy, so you have to go crazier, kind of. Maybe not crazier in this situation, but you could say something like, but wouldn't you be more satisfying if you waited until I'm actually on my deathbed? Come on, attack with that. This has a 50% chance of working. It's a flip of a coin, basically.
I buried my mother and I buried my father. I buried all of my friends. Now I'm going to bury you too.
It is sound logic in a sense, as the author of the gravedigger digging graves her job, but something about it rankles you. If only you could put your finger in it, or finger on it. Ah, yes. There is a bit of flow her reasoning. Is there not? You are not dead after all.
You might not be dead now,
the gravedigger says in response to your ingenuity.
but you will be if given enough time. I mean, everybody else I've ever known's died. Who's to say you wouldn't be next?
It seems rather more likely that you will die, and quickly if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. Your coffin is not very large. It affords you precious little space. Eventually, if trapped within it for long enough, you'll run out of oxygen. Then you will suffocate. Oh, come on, again? That or you will starve to death. Both sound terrible. Either way, the miss will be slow, painful one. You're unsure which death would be worse. Both? I mean, does matter which one would be worse? Both are terrible results. For given how precarious your situation is, you do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger, and quickly while she is still here. You tell her tearfully that you would not leave her. Why would you? You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved.
You see that? She says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler. They never stay put in one place for long. You'd get sick of me before long, that you'd leave me. This way at least I can be assured that we'll always stay together. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be apart. I went to care to put you in a nice spot close to my home, so you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't it nice?
Privately, you think that the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not have to... You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun setting. It is choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and you plead, but it does not little good. The gravedigger has already buried her mother. She has already buried her little brothers. She has even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks, by burying you, she is doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that she is going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed on this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. You might as well say if you're screaming, she will not listen to you. She's beyond listening.
Shush, dear one,
says the gravedigger very gently, just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all of her fears.
It won't be so bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down there. It'll be just like going to sleep for a really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I plant flowers on your grave. You'd like that, wouldn't you? This way we can always be together. And I'll never be lonely again.
I think you're mistaken. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, and your head conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything beyond the sounds of the dirt and the scrapings of the shovel and your own desperate frantic screams. You scream and you scream and you scream without keys until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster, but the lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there, screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roof of the coffin, over and over as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you can no longer hear her. You are all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the backs of your nostrils when you inhale. It is so potent, you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here, underground, forever and ever. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow! And in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led you to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? Oh. Here we go again. Alright, we check first the acceptance. And then we'll see. Very well then. Enjoy your eternal slumber. I suppose it's a good night for now, but it is not a goodbye. You cannot escape from me, even if you are buried deep beneath the earth. Where there is a will, there is a way. And even if the whole world has forsaken you, I never will. I'll never leave you. You will never be lonely again. Something 10 feet down, achievement unlocked. I think you've seen it anyway. I don't know why suddenly the achievements popping out have become visible on recordings. I don't know why. Right, fight against your fate. Oh, are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dearer to me than that. Now why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. That's right. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Well, if you wonder which path we'll take, because there are so many choices, it will be so hard to decide. But yes, we'll make the decision in the next episode. For today, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. That was a crazy one in its own way. But I guess I should have expected that to happen. In its own way. My god, what's gonna happen in the castle? Before we run in the castle into like someone like Elizabeth Bathory, by the way. And yeah, some crazy stuff will be happening if that's the case. Anyway, let's end it. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Consider liking the video, subscribing, always appreciate it. And I wish you obviously a wonderful day. Yep, have a great one. Bye bye.